All right, everyone. Thanks for joining today's podcast. We are going to be having a fun discussion with our boy Kyle Ring. He is on the team with Rio, and I'm excited to be able to interview actually someone in-house instead of like trying to go out. Like I have so many amazing guys on our team who just are grinders who show up and have proven that they are here to work and here to make money and are really good at doing sales. And so why not go to these guys and just hear from their experience? And so for anyone who's like just getting into sales, first year, second year rep, this is really for you because Kyle, he finished his second year, so he's going into his third year. So he has experience, but he hasn't been around like forever. So if you guys are like just wanting to hear from somebody who hasn't been doing it for like 10 years, like this is perfect because then it's something you can relate with and kind of see like what did he do? How was he successful? How was he the top rookie? How was he able to be successful? And we're going to go over some of those topics today. So Kyle, thanks for being on, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ty. I appreciate it. Let me know, if my mic does start cutting out or whatever, and we'll try fixing it. But
Okay, sounds good.
we're gonna work with what we got.
You got it. Sounds good.
So quick intro about me. My name's Kyle, obviously. Now this is my third year going with Rio. Very grateful for. And honestly, I mean, I've only good things to say about door-to-door sales. If I keep it very specific, my parents weren't too keen about me going to do sales at first. And luckily I was, presented with a good group of guys that would take me out. So, and I met Ty through his younger brother, Zach, who ended up, convincing me to go out. And, it's been, something I haven't looked back on it once. And now that Ty has, told me just make the commitment that this is what I'm going to do for the next couple of years, like, I don't know. I feel like my life has flipped right on its head, like from where I thought I was gonna go to where I am now. And now that I'm like committed to doing sales, like I am just ready to like, hit it out of the park. It's kind of how I like to say.
I love it. You we'll talk about your mindset here, like especially at the end, because you have like a
Hmm.
really strong like you have a big goal for the summer. But I'd say even better is just like you said, you've now created this long-term mindset of like, dude, you flipped kind of what your original thoughts were. I'm sure you were like most people who are getting their degree and planning to you did finance, so you're going to go into finance and do some sort of, I don't even know, banking or something. I don't know. What
Yeah,
were you going to do?
I was gonna do investment banking and just
Yeah.
kind of took the classes and yeah, I learned something. I could probably go be an investment banker if I wanted to, but it's just not the field I want to be in anymore. So that's what my change of mindset was.
Cool. So I'm gonna make sure I pull my questions up so I don't lose a few of them. So I want
Hmm.
to talk about your first summer versus second summer. That's kind of the main topic today. Like
Okay.
what was like the differences between the first summer versus your second summer? Um, I want to go into, let's start with this. Like when you first started, like what was your goal? Like when you first went out for the summer, your very first time.
My my goal was to, for me, a lot of money was anything over $15,000. Like my, I've worked at Best Buy. I was making $18 an hour living home, for free. So I was like, what could be better than $18 an hour? And so every summer I went, made maybe over the summer every summer and then would go to school and somehow managed to live off ramen noodle and $10,000 every year. And
Right.
I ended up getting a job between two of the years, but like most of the time I was just like, oh, I can make it last, I promise. But winter break always came around and I had no money. I was like, oh, come on.
Yep. So you had the goal of like
But
15K. I
I
remember
guess
specifically you
biggest
had a
thing.
goal
Oh,
of
go ahead,
like
Ty.
of beating someone on the team. That's what I remember the goal being.
Yeah, no, so that changed once I sold for the first time. So I was kind of thinking farther back. So like, when I was thinking 15,000 was my first talk to Jack and he was all like, yo, you can make a lot of money doing this job. And I was like, okay. And so like I kept my goal conservative at 15,000. But once we did that blitz down in Salt Lake and I sold more than Jack on that blitz, I just said, you know what, my goal this summer is to beat Jack, who was
Yeah.
at the time the vet to beat because at the time, I mean, who's the only second year on the team, right? Like it
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
Jack. Yeah. So he was just kind of the only person within reach that I knew pretty well. So I was like, yo, if I can outsell him on this blitz, I can easily outsell him out over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal was just to keep, within fingers grasp of him. And luckily that goal actually made me, the top rookie, I would say. If I just was content with what I was doing at the beginning, I probably wouldn't have ended up where I was. But striving to sell as many as he did by the end of the summer, I wasn't close by the end of the summer, but at least it kept me motivated to try to catch him. So
Right.
that was the big thing.
So a lot of people always say, like, what would you change? I'm going to kind of do a different question. I'm going to say, what would you not change from your first summer? Like, you look back, you're like, I want to do these things like this going into your third year. I want to do these things this year as I for my first summer. What would you not change from your first summer?
Not change was, I would say, my mindset in terms of like I was determined to understand how Ty, Zach, and Jack, and honestly Zach Wade too, were selling so many accounts. Because like, nothing's more depressing than when, you go out there and you think you have this bar set and you're like, yo, I'm gonna sell as many as these guys. And then you find out that, obviously time has a big part of it, but like, they know what to say and will, when to say it. And I was just like winging it every door. So I would say
Yeah.
I would not change. Every day I came home and I wanted to understand what they were saying. So every day, and you can ask anyone on the team, I would just sit down and I'd be like, I'd take just one of them aside and be like, cool, what did you say today? Like, what got you 8 sales and me one? Like, what was the difference? And through that, it turned into pitching sometimes. Other times it was just a simple like, hey, you just pitched to me real quick. Oh, your eye contact is off. Oh, I came up with this new phrase today and it worked really well for me. Like all these different things just started to add up. And when you start adding that to your arsenal of things to say and understand, you start to sell better because you have almost like you're building your own mind and you're taking what you like from other people's and making it your own. So like I was
Mhm.
just, I don't know, the ball started rolling once I started getting all this information from everyone else. So asking questions would be the biggest thing I would not change.
Okay. So asking questions, mindset. I like it. Then
Yeah.
we'll kind of go over like what would you like do different. So if you go and looking back now, it's like, yeah, I would for this third summer, like I'm not gonna do these things.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I want to change this year because I would say last 2 years, I mean, I wouldn't say I wasn't satisfied with the goals I hit. And I've hit my goal every year I've come out, but it's just like now that I understand what's possible, I would say there's a plenty of things I would change. I'm very bad at structure, like in terms of like going to the gym. Like it's like your daily routine. Like
Hmm.
you'd be surprised how often you get in your head about like, oh, the reason I suck today is because I changed my routine. Like, and if you can just eliminate all these variables that are like, oh, it's because I didn't do this, I didn't go to the gym this morning. Like if you can eliminate all these variables, you stop blaming other things and you start blaming yourself, which is like the important thing is it's like, cool, it was your mindset today. Like if you can eliminate all these other variables, you're left with what's the actual problem. And if you can change the actual thing, I promise you'll make more sales than you've ever made. So like I would say not changing my routine or changing my routine every day was the problem. And I want to get rid of that. Like I want it gone. So this year I'm going to be very like robotic, which sounds, not fun. But
Yep.
when at the end of the summer, when I'm satisfied hitting my goal, it's going to be something I'm grateful I did because it was hard. And the other thing is knocking no soliciting signs. Like I have told my rookies this every one of them this year, and all of Caden's as well.
Hmm.
For everyone that's listening now, you guys don't know this, but my first year I had one recruit. Second year I had two recruits, Dominic and Caden, and one of them was my brother, so it was a gimme. It was a complete laydown. And this third year we kind of flipped it on our head, and I don't know, I have 17 recruits this year, just out of nowhere, so that was awesome. But I've told every single one of them, just knock the no soliciting signs. Like it really can't be that bad. Like I've only been yelled at once, like seriously, and then the rest of them I was able to walk away from and diffuse. But like if you just can take out the thought process of, oh, should I knock this door? Like, should I really knock this door? I'm a little worried. You're just gonna knock every single door and you won't even question it. So like the sooner you can get rid of that mindset of should I knock this door, you're just gonna start to sell everyone you talk to. So that's the two things I would change from the last 2 years.
That's a big one from you because I know the no soliciting, at least the first summer was a big one. Like you kind of like struggled and kind of got over, but still kind of struggled with it on and off throughout the summer. I feel like this last year you did a lot better. So, but
Yeah,
that's a really good one for you. So I think that's amazing. It's not easy, just so everyone knows. Even for me, like there's moments you see this like no soliciting sign, and it could just be a basic one, and it still kind of scares you a little bit. You're like, oh man, like I haven't been getting a lot of success today. I don't really feel like getting yelled at, and you like start playing out what's going to happen before it even hits you, right?
yeah,
Yeah, you're
exactly.
smiling, so you know exactly what I'm saying. So how to, we could talk about like the how to overcome that, but I think honestly, it's kind of what you're saying. It's just like if you just commit now and you're just saying like I just knock every door, like it makes your job a lot easier.
Hmm.
You take out those variables, like you just said. Like I'm not gonna the routine thing. I'm not gonna have any kind of an excuse. I'm just gonna become a robot. I'm just gonna do these things every day, and I'm not gonna. And if I don't do those things, I'm also not gonna create some sort of an excuse for why I didn't sell. The excuse is always like my fault. It's like it's because I didn't,
Hmm.
push myself today. It's because I didn't knock, enough doors. That's kind of what it comes down to. But being a robot,
Yeah,
I think it's not sexy, but man, it's going to make you the most money. So if that's what you're there
yeah.
for, you might as well do it, right?
That's how I feel about it. So it's a little bit harder now that I'm married and I have two dogs. Like it's like, oh, do I really want to be a robot every day? Like my life changes every day, but like I don't know if I can keep it to a routine and Reagan can help me keep it to a routine, I will be more successful this summer. So that's how I feel.
Right. Right. I love it. And obviously for everyone who's listening, it's when we say robot, we're not talking about like your pitch and everything like that. We're talking about like the routine, the day-to-day processes that you go through. Like you just make it so simple. You don't have to think anymore. You're just like, I know every day I wake up at this time. I do these things before the meeting. I'm ready for the meeting on time. I leave for area by this time. I'm home. No, I don't leave for home until at least this time. You just kind of have these standards set up so that way when you get to your neighborhood, there's going to be variables of people like experiences and objections and ways to overcome it. Those will change. So you have to be able to be flexible there. But everything else that you have control over just needs to be just a simple structure, a robotic structure that you don't think about. And so that's my plan too. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's do this. We kind of talked about that, the reasons why you change. Let's do this. Why did you want to do door-to-door sales? You kind of mentioned it earlier, but like, why do you still want to do door-to-door sales? Maybe that's the better question. Like, you did this job, you know the challenge behind it. Why do you still want to do it?
Um, I would say biggest thing is I become my best self over the summer. And what that means to people that haven't done door to door is you will notice that you are genuinely making your best decisions over your summer and like you are most clear, mentally clear. Like it is ridiculous how off the tracks I get when I'm not out over the summer. And what I mean by that is like I'm sleeping in, I am playing video games with my boys late at night and making I'm traveling with Reagan when I can. And over the summer, like you just are so dialed in to doing this one thing that how do I say this? Like you're so dialed in to doing one thing that you are making decisions that are only not only benefiting you, but like are making you a better person every single day. And you're just so focused. Your will to do things is like next level. So that's
Hmm.
how I feel about it, at least.
Love it. I said the same thing. Like, summer's my best version of myself.
Sorry, did I cut out there?
I was saying I agree because the summer is like the best version of me. And as hard as I might try to be a good version of myself, it doesn't compare when you have that structure and that grind of every day
Yeah.
getting those doors, over and over and over. It builds a lot of character. So that's cool. I was just curious your experience, but that sounds very much like mine. Um,
Hmm.
okay, so let's do this. Another question is, what were you most afraid of when knocking previous, like in your first and second years? And well, yeah, we'll start there. And then do you still have those fears? That's my question.
Uh, we talked about this earlier. No soliciting signs were
Mm-hmm.
always my biggest fear. I was like, oh my goodness, like you know, I told myself I was bothering someone at home. Like they put the no soliciting sign up for a reason, and I just realized that there are more nice people than mean people. And so like if you can just get over that mental, yeah, literally how Ty said, it plays out in your head. You don't even know what this person looks like, but you can imagine what they're doing inside and at them coming to the door angry and yelling at you. And you're like, I genuinely have no idea what the person in this home looks like, but for some reason in my head, I know exactly, I tell myself I know exactly what's going to happen. And it never does, surprisingly, but you tell yourself that is the outcome.
Yep.
So I'd say no soliciting doors are the biggest fear, as well as not selling. Like I would say my first couple bagels, I left the doors pretty pissed off. Like especially because like one guy, my best friend that I came out with my rookie year was selling and I was not. And let me tell you that will piss you off and put fire to, fuel to the fire more than anything. Like you're
Yep.
like, "Oh my gosh, like this guy." I'm not saying Griffin's not better than me, but like I told myself I was better than Griffin. I was
Yep.
like, dude, there's no way he's outselling me right now. So, those are the two things, bageling and knocking no soliciting signs.
So do you have, and you kind of answered these earlier. Do you still have those fears? Did you get
I
that?
mean, I can't say I don't fear. Yeah, yeah. I can't say I don't fear
Okay.
no soliciting signs, because I definitely it crosses my mind every day. And even in your, I don't know how Ty feels about this, but even going to my third year, I still have those doubts. Like I may get yelled at right now.
Mm-hmm.
But like the reality of it is like it I just have you have to just kind of get over it. Like really not you have to not think about it. Like just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're really gonna let Parker says it best. Parker's a guy we came out with last year, first year. Believe it or not, I got inspiration from a rookie. Like you guys can inspire us vets. But he just goes, you're really gonna let two words on a door tell you what you can't do and gonna keep you away from making like 200 some dollars. I was like, you're right. What am I doing? I'm tweaking
That's
out right now. Let's just
it's
get it.
I
So
love it.
that was my mindset change.
Parker is the OG of not caring at all. I loved his mindset of just knocking every
Mhm.
door and not caring what they said. And he is a perfect example. So if you guys need some inspiration, if you're struggling with no soliciting, I didn't know this is kind of where this conversation was going, but if you've struggled with this whole like not knocking those no soliciting doors, to just take that inspiration from Parker, first year rep. If I could show you, if we could throw Parker on here, you guys could hear it from him best. But man, that guy just doesn't care, and he's no one special, honestly. I think that's also what kind of makes it funny is he's just a normal kid, and he just doesn't care, and he'll sometimes just get like hounded on, and he'll just like turn around and be like, "Let's go," and then he just runs to the next door, and so if he can do
Exactly. The
it,
running is the best part.
yeah. And it's seriously what he does. And so I just want you guys to know if he can do it, you guys can do it too. I can do it. And so you just got to take inspiration from these people who are definitely either less capable or at least evenly capable as you. And if they can do it, you can do it too. So, all right. So, Kyle, we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. We've had all sorts of technical problems with this podcast, so this is going to be a lot of trimming on my
Are you
side.
recording, Ty? Just real quick.
I am, yeah, it's
Okay, okay.
recording.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So literally, this is our third or fourth time doing this. So that's why he's asking this. So we're gonna wrap this one up. But I wanted to get at least one last question, then like finalize, kind of make it actually sound good at the end.
Yeah.
So the final question is it's sometimes nice to look on things that you've done wrong in the past, and you can always look at what other people have done wrong. Sometimes it's best to just look in the mirror, like what did I not do right? So I want you to give me three things that you are not going to do this year that you've done in previous summers. So, do you got a couple in mind, or at least three in mind?
Yeah, I can come up with three.
Okay.
So first one, it's gonna be a very basic one, but we have a very our team is very oriented around going to the gym. A lot of us tend to go in the mornings, and we have to be there early, like sometimes as early as 8:30, which is early for me at least. But I would say, as I said, I was very focused on variables this year, like getting rid of all the variables that may be something I can blame. And Ty would tell me, he's like, did you go to the gym this morning? Days I didn't sell, he'd be like, did you go to the gym this morning? And I'm like, no. And it always
Yep.
is like just one thing I could blame, but nobody's ever sharp. You can't tell me you're sharp at 11 in the morning when you woke up at 10:59, like, so that is something that I will change this year is, make sure I stick to my schedule, get up every morning, go to the gym. Second thing I would change is leaving for area on time. I would say I tend to do very good at leaving for area on time all the way up until the first day of August, which is when reps tend to, hit that downhill
Yep.
slippery slope.
Yep.
So for me, I would say just go to area on time. And, for me, I leave certain days, especially when I had a good week, I got content with selling what I sold, and I'd be like, yo, I can go out at 4 o'clock, or I can even go out. I'd go out at 1 and then just wouldn't work until dark. I'd work till like 7 or 8, and I'd be like, yeah, I got what I needed. Where, if
Mhm.
I should have just stayed out. So I'd say work the hours, as well as like, don't let, I know I do this myself, but like, I know with Caden told me this over the summer, but the days I go home and he would find my iPhone, and he'd be like, yo, why you like at home? It honestly makes a bad environment for the team um, to be around, just because you're like, they're not working as hard as I am. So I would say either two things. You can't control what other people do. So I would say just work the hours what you're doing. And then if you see someone's not working the hours what you're doing is like, not working the hours when you are, don't let that ruin your day. Like they're not there to build your dream. You're there to build your own dream. So like be focused on yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Just dial in and do what you need to do.
Mhm.
And then third thing, man, I would say probably keeping the spirits high over the weekend. Like being excited to knock over the weekend is one thing I changed, just because Sunday rolls around, it's your only day off, and it's very
Yep.
easy for you to clock out and just be like, yo, like I'm not thinking about the doors. And I sometimes I would just stay inside in the AC, because in Texas it gets 114 degrees, and you're like,
You're
please, a day inside,
Yep. Yep.
But, staying, positive with the team on the weekends, doing things as a team, going out to the pool, we did a lot of barbecues, but like I would say just making sure that you stay around the team on the weekends. I'm a people person at least. And then, like being excited to knock over the weekends. Like instead of looking as a break, just be excited to go out on Monday morning and do it again. It's only how many days is the summer, Ty?
It's like a little over 100. If you knock like May through August, it's like it's a little over 100 days of knocking.
Yeah. You can dial, like it's gonna be hard, but for 100 days, just look at it as every day you go out and knock is one day closer to being done, instead of it like, you're like dreading every day you go out. Like just look at the long goal and see where the end is. Like just be like,
Yep.
cool, I can do this for 100 days, instead of looking at I can do it until 9. Like I
Mhm.
can do it until the end of the day, because that's, if you can just stay dialed for those 100 days, it'll be harder to break the system than you just going home and being like, okay, 9 o'clock, I clocked out, and then every morning you got to clock back in at 11 o'clock and be like, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it's hard to do. So I'd say just be dialed for those 100 days is kind of what I would say.
Cool. Love it. Dude, those are awesome tips, and I love it. You speak like you've done this forever, which is impressive. You have an amazing goal for this year. Me and you are going to be both going for Golden Door, and that's part of the reason why I wanted you to be on the podcast is because I
Mhm.
know you are dialed. You are like you're messaging me about all the different podcasts you're listening to and getting fired up for the summer and ideas for how we can get our team excited. And you've recruited a ton. So you're obviously invested. You're stoked about the summer. And I just want everyone to listen to like this easily can be you. So just get out there, find the things if you've done knocked before, look on your past, realize you're not perfect. What could you do better? See those things, recognize it, and then do it for this next summer. Say, hey, I'm just not going to do those things because it didn't serve me. It didn't get me closer to my goals. And if you can just like recognize it and focus on those things, you're going to do amazing. And Kyle, dude, you're the best. Thanks for coming on and,
Yeah,
and
thanks
sharing
for
your
having me,
wisdom with
Todd.
us.
I appreciate it. I like sharing. I like talking, as you can tell. So I
No,
appreciate being on the
you're a
podcast.
chatter and you do a great job chatting. So you should come on more often. So that'll be it for everyone. So appreciate it. This is Kyle Ring, and till the next podcast.